National Commission for Women has also taken cognizance of the Jama Masjid diktat. The NCW has said that this diktat, this order is gender biased and is a violation of fundamental rights of women worshippers to pray. NCW chairperson Rekha Sharma has shot off a letter to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, urging him to look into the matter and take appropriate measures. So outrage peaking, trouble also brewing, as first you had the DCW, the Delhi Commission for Women, and now the National Commission for Women taking note of this hugely regressive order. And the Women's Panel Chief, Rekha Sharma, has written to Arvind Kejriwal saying that the government must intervene in this matter. Abhishek Anand is joining us live from outside the Jama Masjid premises. Abhishek, good evening. Right now, the NCW has also taken note of what's happened. Can you show us, Abhishek, exactly what that board outside the Jama Masjid currently reads?
Well, I am at some distance from the Jama Masjid entrance where the board has been put. The board, which is a metal board, which clearly mentions that ladke ladkiyon ka akele aana mana hai. It does not elaborate the reason, it does not elaborate what akele means, what single means. Does that mean that a bunch of girls are allowed? Does that mean that a bunch of boys are allowed? But the statement of the PRO of Jama Masjid clears the air that this was intended to stop boys and girls to enter Jama Masjid, as the administration of Jama Masjid is worried about the videos which are being shot inside the temple, the mosque, and the PRO says that every religious place, whether it's a temple or Gurudwara or a mosque, shall not allow such kind of practices. So three major persons who are right now involved in opposing this is number one, Delhi LG, number two, the DCW chief, and number three, the NCW chief. Now three heavyweights across the political lines are against this order. In fact, Delhi LG
so
has
they've established they're against it, but will that then turn and resort into action is the question. Abhishek, I request you to stay on with me. We're going to need your inputs later during this broadcast as well. But I'd like to introduce Saira Shah Halim, activist who's joining us on this broadcast. Saira, good evening. What's your response as a woman to this kind of a diktat that's come in, saying that, women together, woman who's not accompanied by a man, cannot be allowed inside the Jama Masjid? And when we asked them further, when we prodded, they said it's because women resort to immoral acts inside the premises.
Yeah, so good evening. Firstly, it's an affront to life, dignity, and equality towards women, because I've traveled all over, whether it's Turkey, whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's UAE. Islam does not prohibit Muslim women from entering the mosque, and it is very clear that women are allowed to enter the premises. They might be having a separate entrance, however there can be no notice that prohibits women from entering a mosque. And I think this notice is quite regressive, and it is unconstitutional. And this needs to be questioned on what grounds are single women or women in a group being prohibited from entering the premises of one of the biggest and the grandest mosque in India. And I think it is an infringement of the right, because if you are giving that clause that women are meeting boys or taking selfies, the same thing can be said about the men as well. If men come in groups, they also might do the same. So you can't just single out women and say that you are prohibited because of some bad behavior or because of taking selfies. This is absolutely no excuse from prohibiting women from entering any mosque.
But, the question is, what does this really mean for women's rights as well, Saira? The fact that, we're taking 10 steps back with every one step that we take forward. And this is essentially a problem that we see in almost all religious places of worship, particularly, where almost always you'll see some sort of restriction against women devotees in particular.
Absolutely. Like when we look at Saudi Arabia, they are progressing as a country. I used to live in Saudi Arabia in the mid-90s, and those days abaya was compulsory, the hijab was compulsory. However, they are, moving a step forward. And we see here, things are only digressing, and we are just kind of regressing as a society, which is quite unfortunate. And I think we should hold a stellar example. And when we talk about equality, we shouldn't kind of be partisan, especially in places of worship. It is against the Places of Worship Act, A, and B, Islam nowhere prohibits women from entering a mosque.
I think the comparison of India versus Saudi Arabia, some viewers may say that that's not a fair comparison, but the message you're trying to put across, Saira, is clear. That while they seem to be at least changing, we are not doing that. We're changing for the worse if you look at these kind of instances. Saira Shah Halim, thank you very much for joining us here on India Today with your view on this particular story. Let's round up for you right now the kind of norms and restrictions particularly that are in place on different mosques, different places of worship across the country. The latest, unfortunately, to join the list is one of the most historic and iconic mosques in the country and even in the world, the Jama Masjid in Delhi, where from now, entry of women who are unaccompanied by men is not going to be allowed. There's a clear poster that's been put out, and even if women are accompanied by other women, they're not going to be allowed. So the clear instruction is that these women or any woman who intends to enter the Jama Masjid must have a male member of her family with her. Otherwise, she's not allowed inside the Jama Masjid. Even a Muslim woman can't enter and offer prayers. What about the Haji Ali Dargah in Mumbai? Not sure if you remember, but there was a controversy around this shrine too, because women were barred from entering the mazar. It changed in 2016 when there was this huge campaign by women, led by women, to ensure change. It led to a massive legal fight, and finally women were allowed inside. Let's also talk about what happens in Mecca at the masjid there. There's a separate section. Women are allowed inside, but there's a separate section for women devotees. In fact, as far as India is concerned, we took that step in 2021 where we changed the rules saying unaccompanied solo Indian women are allowed to go for Hajj. That rule came in from 2021. So in that sense, you see change in the Haji Ali Dargah. You see change here for Hajj as well. The question is, why has the Delhi Jama Masjid then come up with this kind of a regressive order?